Good morning, folks. I'm Chris, your MLB writer here at OccupyFantasy.com, here with a look at this 13-game slate on FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo for Friday, May 6th. Now, unfortunately, the number one thing that's going to drive decision-making on this slate is weather. This is a 13-game slate that may quickly turn into a 7-game slate. We have as many as 6 games that are looking at potential postponements, and you see that right in our weather model. We have... It looks like 7 games with a 96% chance or higher of precipitation in this spot. And looking at some of the trusted weather resources out there, like Kevin Roth at Roto Grinder, shout out to him, actual meteorologist season. It looks like some of these games are like almost lock postponements, including Texas at New York. So that's a problem because when you jump over to our pitching model, which is where we usually like to start, you'll see Garrett Cole's the number one option tonight. We don't think he's going to be available. Toronto at Cleveland, that features Shane Bieber. He's another pitcher we think is pretty strong tonight. New York Mets at Philadelphia Phillies, that features Max Scherzer, another starter that we think is pretty strong tonight. But these are all guys that we may not have access to because of the weather situation tonight. Now, a quick word on bats. No surprise here. Colorado at Arizona. It's going to be 97 degrees there in Arizona tonight. 20% boost to hitters. You can expect Rockies and Diamondback stacks to be very popular. The Nationals and the Angels here, one of the later games on the slate. A relatively modest environment, neutral for both hitters and pitchers. That may be one we come back to in a second as well. Miami and Atlanta also in that boat here tonight, but with more of a rain risk than those other 2 games. Starting pitching, I think we're almost going to have to force ourselves to drop down to number 3 here on our board for this slate. Yu Darvish, slight minus 130, moneyline favorite here with slight line movement in his favor. Darvish with a great 1.31 strikeouts per inning pitch projection against the Marlins tonight. He only has about a 1.16 strikeout per inning pitch ratio over the last year of his outings. So this is a pretty good above average strikeout projection spot for Darvish. The Marlins are striking out above average this year thus far. And same thing for Astros starter Luis Garcia would be the next one I'll go to because we have rain in Toronto at Cleveland to worry about. He is very cheap, $7,400 on DraftKings, $8,500 over on FanDuel. One of the bigger favorites on the board, might be the biggest favorite on the board after some postponements. Little line movement in his favor. He's gone into the 6th inning in 3 consecutive starts and pitched very well so far this year. Projected for 1.19 strikeouts per inning pitched tonight against the Detroit Tigers, who are not only striking out at a high rate, but they are one of the lowest performing lineups in terms of fantasy points per plate appearance. Really good spot for Luis Garcia of the Astros. I do think Darvish and Garcia are probably 2 of the safest and best options tonight after we get the news on postponements. Very early here in the day. I'm recording this about 9:30 in the morning Eastern time, so if we get better news in the afternoon and some of these other arms are available, we'll circle back. But for now, it looks like I'm going to be focusing on the guys that we know will be pitching tonight. And if you're not going to be able to be online later this evening, that's probably how you should attack this slate as well. From an offense standpoint, no surprise, just looked at this. Colorado, Arizona, number 1 and number 2 by OF Index. So there are definitely ways to get away from these 2 tonight. Obviously, we have a couple of games that we don't have lines on the board just yet because there's some issues with starting pitching. Starting pitcher hasn't been named yet. One of those games is the Angels and the Nationals game tonight in California. We think that Jaime Barria is starting for the Angels tonight. And in our model, unfiltered for strikeout upside, Barria is the worst projected pitcher in the model tonight. Those are things that we like to look at when we're trying to figure out offenses to play. And it's nice to see that we have him ranked there pretty highly and that we have the Washington Nationals, the opposing offense, ranked pretty highly against him tonight as well. We'll come back and we'll see how team total shakes out by the time we get the plug out for you this evening. But right now, Washington with a really good OF index, isolated slugging ranking, and weighted on base average. The Angels on the other side of the matchup with the highest projected weighted on base average tonight for us. We've discovered that's pretty much a good indicator of floor performance for hitters tonight. So maybe looking at, it's just a coincidence that these 2 teams are playing each other, but maybe looking at Angels and Nationals stacks tonight in our DFS lineups as one of the better places to go after all of the postponements and weather news comes in. That won't be necessarily as higher owned as some of the other spots on the board. So how does our hitter model look this early in the day? Projected lineups only, right? Nice to see a Nationals hitter number 1 in Juan Soto. Nice to see Mike Trout here, number 3 from the Angels. Dalton Varsho, been up here for a while from the Diamondbacks, another top stack play. definitely seems like we have some options tonight at the top of the board. If we want to look at the Nationals, who I'm most interested in stacking at this moment in time, looks like we got some options with Soto, Cruz, Franco, Josh Bell, both of the Hernandezes here. Very good options here with the Nationals. Again, the Nationals are facing Los Angeles Angels pitcher Jaime Barria. That's what we're projecting. Barria allows a 198 ISO to left-handed hitters over the last year. That makes Barria a really good target for left-handed bats. So the left-handed bats that we're anticipating will be in this lineup tonight against him are Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Yadiel Hernandez, and Keibert Ruiz at catcher. For the Angels, you see some of our top options against Adon for the Nationals. Some of the usual suspects here at the top. Adon allowing an astronomical 311 isolated slugging and 461 weighted on base average to left-handed hitters. That should push us to focus on Jared Walsh, Shohei Ohtani, Brandon Marsh, and even a guy like Tyler Wade for the Angels tonight against Joan Adon. Let's try to build some lineups and see what that looks like. Over on DraftKings, you see here I've plugged in Darvish and Garcia, 5 Nationals bats. We have 43.33 per player remaining to make something happen. That's plenty of room to put in a secondary stack, whether that's a full 3-man stack or a 2-1 or even some one-off hitters that we like tonight. We have discovered, by the way, on these large 13-game slates, you probably want 2 fully stacked. So if you have a 5-man stack, you probably want to have a 3-man mini stack alongside of it. Over on FanDuel, same thing here. I'm going to go with Garcia because he's cheaper and 4 Nationals hitters. 31.50 per player remaining. Plenty of room to make something happen. Ugly slate tonight. A lot of weather that we need to work around that's very problematic. Keep an eye out for the daily plug. We will post that at OccupyFantasy.com by about an hour before lock at the absolute latest. If you want to talk about these plays up until then, you can consider joining our Discord. There's a link to do so below the description of the video. Good luck tonight, and we will talk to you about some more MLB DFS on Sunday.